Welcome to the Hump Day Hangout podcast by Semantic Mastery, where we answer your local SEO questions every week at 4 p.m. Eastern. I'm Adam Moody, and my partner at Semantic Mastery, Bradley Benner, will be sharing his decades of expertise based on not only helping others, but running his own agencies and businesses in the space. If you'd like to join us live on YouTube each week, just go to www.semanticmastery.com/HDHO at 4 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. If you'd like to ask a question ahead of time, go to the same link, www.semanticmastery.com/HDHO at any time and submit it there. Don't forget, you can get the Semantic Mastery Local SEO Toolkit for free at the same URL. Okay, let's get going with this episode.
Hello and welcome to Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode 553 on the 2nd of July 2025. And I'm here with Bradley today, right before the 4th of July weekend. It's actually crazy hot here in Austria at the moment, around like 36 degrees during the day. I guess it's the same for Bradley, or did the heat wave pass already?
Today it's not bad, but it's
All right.
only today. It's been shitty all week long, and it's going to be shitty the rest of the week. So, but that's
Same
all right.
here.
Today's not so bad.
Good. We're definitely here to answer your questions. So if you haven't put in your question yet, make sure you've fit it in the chat at the right, or put it into the form so we cover it on this episode. And the other thing, Adam told me that there's still a couple seats open, or last chance seats, for DHA. So make sure for your 4th July weekend that you don't miss out and secure your seat. Bradley, do you want to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah, sure. And I was going to pop the URL in the chat. This is for the DHA stuff. There's still a few slots open, guys. So DHA coaching program. I'm going to put a link up in chat for this, and then I'll talk about it briefly. Okay, no worries. I think I got that right. Okay. So the DHA coaching program, that is for the process that I've been developing for years now for my own agency, and now duplicated that across multiple other agencies. It's about kind of developing a brand around a particular industry and then developing a directory that you use as the conversation starter for outreach purposes in order to initiate conversations with business owners in whatever industry you've chosen. It's an automated process. Again, I've been working on this for over 4 years. And now with AI, it's certainly increased its effectiveness and its efficiency and all of that. But the whole point is it's very well developed process now, like incredibly well developed. In fact, the SOPs are so thorough that we don't really need a whole lot of additional support, but that support is available for those that need it. So I recommend anybody that's interested in it, check out the mastermind, but we have a few additional slots open for the coaching program. What comes in the coaching program, besides all the SOPs that are available for mastermind members, which again, everything has been built out and documented and is updated regularly when things need to be updated. And so we have a whole series or sequence of SOPs, standard operating procedures, that kind of walk through the entire process of building this whole system for your own agency. And it's very detailed. All the SOPs are incredibly detailed. So most people, not most, some people can do it on their own. But a lot of people are going to need some sort of additional help. They're going to need either for technical support, or they're going to need somebody to be accountable to so that they complete the program. Because a lot, guys, let's just be honest. I do it too. I'm not free from this. I'm not above this for sure. But how many times have you started into something that you fully intend on completing, but you don't? And sometimes a lot of the times that happens because of some sort of challenges that occur when you're in the middle of trying to complete whatever process it is that you committed to yourself that you were going to complete. And so that's where the additional coaching comes in, because you'll have accountability partners, not just myself, but also the other group members, because we have a group accountability meeting every Monday where we basically talk, we go around robin around the members of the group to say, okay, what did you accomplish in the last week? What successes have you had? What failures did you have, or challenges did you face? And we kind of just go through that so that everybody, is accountable to the other members of the group. And then after that, I lay out the assignment for the next week. And then we repeat the process on the following Monday. But then we also have daily office hours, 1 hour available per day, in the mornings that I'm available and I'm on a Zoom meeting, which is just open and available for anybody in the coaching program. You can hop in at any time during that hour and ask me questions. It's supposed to be specifically for DHA stuff, but I will entertain some additional questions outside of the DHA stuff, on those calls as well. But that's always available to everybody. Whether you can attend the live call or not, it's fine if you can't, because you can post your questions and support related issues ahead of time, and I will cover them in the next daily office hour call. And then you can catch the replay. Then we also have 3 one-on-one accountability meetings with myself, with me. So that's for if you have challenges or things that you don't want to address in the group setting, or it's embarrassing or it's sensitive or whatever, by all means, that's when you can address that with me on the one-on-one accountability meetings that we have. There's 3 of them over the course of the 12-week program. So what I'm getting at, guys, is it's the program that I've been using to grow all of my agencies, and it's worked for every one of them. It's cold email, but it's a very specific way that we do it that is a non-salesy approach to be able to initiate conversations with business owners in whatever industry you've selected, and we can even help you decide on which industry you want to work in. And then once you've kind of built this directory and prospecting and marketing machine, it's going to start to generate consistent leads into your agency in a very non-confrontational way. It helps you to start develop a relationship and build rapport with those contacts in your kind of orbit, so to speak, now, right? And so I've found that over the past several years that I've been using this method, that it's just incredible about the types of, sales will occur weeks and sometimes months after the initial meeting, because of the way that we develop the contact or nurture the contact into establishing a level of trust. And they almost feel like they get to know us because of the level of communication that occurs through the initial contact and when we eventually schedule the appointment. And even after the initial appointment, if they're not ready, which many of them are not ready to purchase anything yet, then that's fine, because we plug them into nurture sequences. And so what happens is weeks and sometimes months later, we end up closing a sale that we had initiated a conversation weeks or months or prior to or earlier, if that makes sense. And so it's fabulous way to grow businesses, agency related services. I've not found a better way yet, or else I'd be doing that also. And so the coaching program's available for those that need the accountability and the additional technical support, etc. There's also some additional perks that come with it. So if you're interested, guys, the link that we posted in the chat is the opportunity to schedule an interview call with me, because we're not sending you to a checkout page. Well, we are, but it's a checkout page to schedule an appointment with me. You put a $100 deposit down, you get a 15-minute call with me. Sometimes it'll go a little bit longer. But I'm just gonna have a chat with you about the program, excuse me, what the recommended requirements are, and make sure it's a good fit. I'm not going to accept everybody into the program. We only accept those into the program that I feel is a good fit and that feels like they're committed to it and that are going to complete the program. So we just go through a brief interview where I can answer any questions that you have about the program, and then I can also ask you some questions to make sure it's a good fit. If at the end of that call I decide that it is a good fit, then I'm going to send you the email with the link to purchase. Either you can check out with a 1-pay or a 3-pay option, and the cost of the interview deposit, the $100 that you paid to secure your interview with me, that will be applied to the purchase. You're not obligated to purchase. If you decide you want to purchase, that $100 will come off the purchase price. If you decide you don't want to purchase, or if I decide that you're um, not really in a good position to join this program at the moment, then we'll refund your $100. If you make the appointment and don't show up to the appointment, though, you lose your $100. That's what that was for, to get rid of tire kickers and stuff like that. So, but I would encourage you guys to check it out. It is a outstanding system. It works phenomenally well, and it is by far the best method I've used in my entire career for generating agency leads, if that makes sense. So check it out. It's $100. It's a 15-minute conversation. If you join, it's a good price. If you don't join, we'll refund your money. So nothing to lose.
Yep. So DHA is the perfect moneymaker if you're struggling with your business. So make sure to sign up and secure a spot right now. And also, if you're watching this live or if you're watching the replay, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button for the video, that you get notified when we are going on and there are new videos and you don't miss out on anything. Anything else that I missed today?
Nope, not that I can think of.
All right,
So I think
then
we're good to
let's
go.
jump through to the questions.
Yeah, well, the local mastery newsletter, we can talk about that briefly too.
True.
The local mastery newsletter, guys, that's our newsletter now that what we're doing is we're taking every Thursday I do a webinar in the mastermind. Every other Thursday it's the mastermind with Bradley, which is a traditional type of a webinar where there's a chat box and it's me doing presenting, and I'll answer questions from live attendees as well as pre-posted questions, and also stuff that needs more kind of over the shoulder and more detailed explanation and demonstration, etc., from conversations or discussion threads within the mastermind community. So all of this is stuff that I cover on the mastermind webinars, which is every other week. Then on the other Thursdays, the other Thursdays, I mean, it's what's called the Build with Bradley discussion group, and that is a 1 hour Zoom meeting, and that is for there are a number of people that just attend and don't really participate, but I recommend and I suggest that people join the discussion group to have a discussion, right, to participate. And so I really enjoy that because that's an hour. It's typically an hour. Sometimes it goes longer, but it's usually an hour. And that's where we just discuss stuff that's currently going on in the industry or any kind of topic that any members want to discuss. And it's a discussion group. And sometimes I'll use that for formal training too. But a lot of the times it's actually discussion groups. And so that's really very interactive and it's great. And so what we've done with the local mastery newsletter is we're basically distilling it down into the entire webinars, which again, like I said, it ranges from an hour to 2.5 hours, typically the webinars, but it distills that down into the main concepts from within the webinar and actionable items. So it's basically like the Reader's Digest version of the webinar. So instead of having to sit through a 2 hour webinar, you can within 20 minutes read basically everything that was really discussed throughout the webinar and it's done really well, guys. The newsletter is done incredibly well, in my opinion, because I review every one of them personally. We have AI that helps us to generate the initial draft, and then every week I go in and I review each of the outputs from AI and modify it to make sure that there was nothing that was hallucinated or fabricated or anything else, as well as to make sure that nothing is misleading or something that I wouldn't agree with, if that makes sense. And so this is a combination of webinars, AI, and human editing that then creates these really actionable newsletter entries that will give you the gist of what it is that we are discussing in the mastermind on a weekly basis, but in text format that you can consume within 15 or 20 minutes versus, an hour and a half to 2 hours. And so it's for those people that are super busy and they don't have the ability or the desire to sit and watch a bunch of webinars. I don't typically like to do that either, and I don't really have the bandwidth to do it. And I wish there was more of the mastermind communities and training programs that I've been a member of that had this as an option. And so I really think guys, it's $29 a month or $250 a year to subscribe. So it's ridiculously cheap, inexpensive. And for the content I think it's done really, really well. And so there's almost no reason for anybody not to subscribe, but I'm just giving you guys that as a heads up. So if you're interested in that, go to localmastery.semanticmastery.com and you can check it out. Again, it's $29 a month or $250 for an annual subscription. So go check it out. All right. With that said, I think we can jump into questions now. Anything else, Chris?
No, let's do it.
All right. Let's do it then. We got a bunch of questions today, so trying to get rid of some of this stuff. All right, share the screen and we'll get started. Okay. Sorry, guys. I had a bunch of stuff I'm on a laptop because I'm traveling, so a little bit busy on my screen. I'm trying to clean it up. God damn it. Try it one more time. There we go. All right. First question is from Roy. He's got a big one. This is a lot, so I'm going to try to get through this, guys. That's a lot. All right. Hey, Bradley, it's been a while since I asked questions on Hump Day Hangouts. Oh, by the way, Huzaifa, before I get into this, and there's one other thing I forgot to mention, so I'm sorry. I'll come back to your question in just a minute, Roy. Two things, guys. Help and SEO out. Just want to point this out, guys. Help and SEO out.com. Whoops, God damn it. Let me try that one more time. Right there. Helpandseout.com. If you go to that, it's free right now. One of our mastermind members, Dave, he created this, so this is his. Right now it's free. If you this is for Help a Reporter Out, which I'm sure you guys, if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go Google it. Help a Reporter Out was a way to get links from media sources and journalists and things like that. Well, this is kind of a take off of that. It's called Help at SEO, but it's specifically for local SEO. So this is for local SEO professionals, consultants, agencies, etc., that serve local clients, that can then, so they basically have websites that they manage or SEO campaigns that they manage that for local SEO type clients or local business type clients. And here's where you can go in and submit your local business sites, or link. You don't submit your sites, you submit opportunities. You say, okay, I have an opportunity, a link opportunity that's available, and I will accept, I will provide links to these types of sites in these topical categories and or these geographies, these locations. And then when you post the link opportunity, you then also get to post the requested opportunity, meaning like, I will accept, here's, I want to get links back from this type of site, this with these topical categories, or these, or from these locations, or a combination of both. And so you end up creating link exchanges with other SEO professionals that have local business clients, so that you're getting links on real local business sites, not lead gen sites, not PBNs, but actual other local business sites. Right now, it's free to join because he's trying to build up his user database and his link opportunity database. So I would encourage you guys to go check it out. Okay. There's nothing to be made. It's not an affiliate promotion. This is just because I think it's a fantastic idea. And he's one of our mastermind members. And I told him I would promote this every week until I got tired of promoting it, or until he says he's got enough members in there to where it's going to go paid. Okay. All right. So I want to point that out. Number one. Number two. Huzaifa had asked this a couple of weeks ago, and I said I was get the answer, and I couldn't think of it off the top of my head. But he was asking, how do you get, if you guys take a look at the domain for this site, this is a web 2, it's company.site. And he was asking how we got this, and I couldn't remember. I said it was a platform that was you could get a presence on this .company.site platform if you through some sort of an e-commerce platform, but I couldn't remember what it was. This is it. It's Equid. I don't know how to pronounce that. Equid. I don't know what it is. Anyways, Uswid. I don't know what the hell how you pronounce that, but this right here is how you get this .company.site. Try that again. My browser was frozen or something. Let me try that again. Okay. Yeah. So it's this right here, .company.site. You can see it's powered by eSwid by Lightspeed. So if you come over here and you create a register for an account, then once you get logged into this eSwid.com domain, then you can create a company.site, as you can see here. Okay. So I got to the bottom of it. It just took me a few weeks longer than I expected. All right. So now we're going to get into the questions. All right, so Roy says, hey, Bradley, it's been a while since I asked a question on Hump Day Hangouts. I've been missing in action because of a series of events that happened that took my attention away from internet lead gen, and I've been relying on the residual income from my current lead gen, but now I'm back, and I'm currently working on building out new lead gen assets, listings, and websites, and optimizing my existing assets. Here's my question. First, when it comes to optimizing listings, GBP profiles, essentially, what would you say are the primary ranking factors right now? By far, branded location authority and site efficiency. And site efficiency is not part of the Google Business Profile, meaning that's not something that you optimize on the GBP. But whatever site the GBP is linked to, right, as the website URL, that site should be efficient, right? Means it should be optimized properly without redundancy, competing pages, duplication, free from as many technical SEO errors as possible. Basically, you want to reduce crawl resistance as much as possible. Thank you, Cecilia. She's the one that gave me that term. But the two most important things from my testing over the last several months now has been branded location authority, which you can influence by building additional supporting assets that validate who the business is, what they do, and where they do it, right? Those are external page URLs that reference name, address, phone number, website, or some combination of those 4 data points. And then making sure that Google is aware of that business having a presence on those other platforms, right? So it's not just about getting the business listed or referenced, which is a citation. Do you guys understand that, right? A business directory listing, we as SEOs think of business directory listings as citations. That is true. They are citations. Those are what's known as structured citations. Anywhere else there is a published mention of the name, address, phone number, and website, or some combination of those data points, is also a citation. It is citing the source, citing the business source. It's referencing the business. That is a citation. It may be an unstructured citation, but it is still a citation. And so it's important to not only find all of the page URLs that Google's already aware of, meaning it's in the index, that have accurate information published about the business, but what other page URLs that may be not indexed or that you are going to create that have yet to be indexed that have accurate information published about the business. The idea is to try to collect and gather all of those page URLs, those that are already indexed and those that have yet to be indexed and those that you are building. And then you want to spoon feed that data back to Google. How do you do that? Well, from the Google Business Profile, you link to those external page URLs with Google Business Posts. Learn More button, right? The call to action button. I typically recommend using the Learn More button. There's also the book button, but I think the Learn More is just more appropriate, right? So you create Google Business Posts at least once per week that are going to link out to what I always recommend for Google Business Posts is 2 posts per week. 1 post per week, always linking to the main some page or post on the main website that is relevant to that business location. Because remember, it can be a multi-location business. And you don't want to be linking to like supporting location pages that are part of another Google Business Service area. You see what I'm saying? So what I mean, let me rephrase that one more time, restate it, repeat it. And it will probably make sense now, right? You want to use the Google Business Post to link out to page or post URLs on the main website that are relevant to that business location. The second post per week, then you want to use the Learn More button to link out to external page URLs that have accurate information published about that business location. You get what I'm saying? That is a direct linked connection from the GBP to these validating page URLs that help to validate or corroborate how the GBP is optimized, what Google understands about who the business is, what they do, and where they do it. And so it's critically important to do that. Okay, that was step number 1, or one of the places that you can kind of spoon feed that data back to Google. There's 2 more though. There's also the same as attributes in the local business schema. Remember, local business schema or the appropriate subtype should be inserted into the location landing page. That is the page URL that is linked to from the Google Business Profile as the website URL. Whatever page URL you link to from the GBP as the website URL, that's the location landing page. Most of the time, it's going to be the homepage. For service area businesses, though, I submit or I recommend that it should be a dedicated location landing page that is optimized for the same city that GBP is located in. That way, the homepage can be broadened up for a larger location entity that is all inclusive of the locations that that company serves, right? So that would be typically a county or a region, or a county, a metropolitan area, or a region, if it's a service area business. But to get back to what I was saying about the local business schema, with the appropriate subtype, that should be inserted into the location landing page. That's where you would reference and same as attributes those external page URLs that have accurate information published about the business. So that's 2 points that we are now two methods that we are now spoon feeding data back to Google, right? And by the way, in the same as attributes of the local business schema, that's no longer just about Google. It's about language models too. Because remember, language models are crawling the web via links, and language models ingest content from the pages on the links. So they are reading schema, structured data. So if you have same as attributes really well, thoroughly optimized in the local business schema that's inserted into the location landing page, then the language models are going to ingest that content too, right? And then there's the third location, which is the ID page. Go look at local business schema. You're going to see, if it's decent local business schema, you're going to see an @ID field in the schema. Most SEOs I know, even after all this time, are still just referencing the same page URL that schema is inserted into. Maybe they'll get a little bit more advanced and put a hashtag ID at the end of it or something like that. But that does nothing. If you understand what the @ID field is for in local business schema, it's specifically for a unique resource identifier to validate location information for that business location. So that's not just about a Google thing anymore. Again, it's language models. So if you have a dedicated ID page where all of those page URLs that I just described are consolidated into that dedicated resource, and then that dedicated resource is referenced in the @ID field, it tells the Google bot plus the large language models that is where they can go to validate branded location information for that business location, right? So that's 3 places that you can build brand authority very quickly by expanding the entity footprint, meaning getting the business listed on more places where it's referencing name, address, phone number, and website, or some combination of those data points. And then you want to take all of those URLs and you want to link to them with Google Business Posts. put them in the same as attributes of the local business schema that should be inserted in the location landing page. And then you also want to consolidate all of those into a dedicated ID page that then is added or referenced in the add ID field of the local business schema. So that's how you can build branded location authority very quickly. So that's number one. Number two is site efficiency. And site efficiency is about making sure that the site that the GBP is connected to is efficient, free from as many technical SEO errors as possible. In other words, reducing crawl resistance to bare minimum or eliminating it if possible. Making sure there's no redundancy, competing pages, duplication, which I see a ton of. I mean, it's just incredible how much I've still seen that. And there's still a lot of SEO agencies out there that think that their answer to everything SEO related is just more content, more blog posts. That is absolutely incorrect right now. And guys, I don't know how many of you have experienced this, but I don't know if it was sometime either at the end of May or the beginning of June, there was an algorithm update. And I've seen local business sites decline in traffic significantly and a lot of pages being de-indexed or being removed from the index, not because of a penalty, but because there's Google sometime either at the end of May or beginning of June, one of the algorithm updates that the Google rolled out. Ever since then, I've seen just across the board a decline in traffic and especially with sites that have a lot of blog content. So local business type sites that have a lot of blog content, I'm seeing just a significant decline in traffic, organic web search visits, as well as indexing rates. If you go look at Search Console, you'll see that the index versus non-indexed has significantly skewed, where there's more non-index pages than index pages for those sites that have a lot of blog content. So that's why I said you want the site to be efficient and free of redundancy or duplication. Look, again, guys, I understand a lot of us, including myself, did a ton of blogging to achieve SEO gains, right? Ranking gains, performance gains. We used to blog so that we could hit every single search query from every different angle that we could possibly consider or conceive of. That's how we used to get results. But that now Google is specifically targeting that now. And that's, again, this one of the more recent updates that I'm describing here. As I do audits, which I do like a minimum of 5 audits per week, and I'm seeing this time and again, those sites that have a lot of blog content are doing horrible right now. And it's because of that. And so site efficiency is number 2. And I've done a lot of training, Roy, on how to kind of structure sites appropriately to have the minimum amount of pages and the proper internal linking so that they're super efficient. And so those are the 2 most important things as far as kind of like just on-page optimization techniques. Building brand authority by expanding the entity footprint, okay, brand footprint, and making sure Google is aware of all of those page URLs where the company has a presence, which we can facilitate that. Number 2 is site efficiency. Okay, those 2 things. But then there's still reviews. I know further on here when it talks about, you were talking about reviews because I at least partially read your question ahead of the webinar or today's Hump Day Hangout. Reviews are still a significant ranking factor, a very significant ranking factor, but it's not just the reviews, it's the review velocity. And so meaning like how quickly is the company getting reviews and how does that compare to the other competitors in that same location or area? If you have a higher review velocity, as long as the reviews are coming in with 4 and 5 star ratings, typically that's going to have a significant influence on how the GBP performs too, provided that those other kind of areas are done fairly well, right? If you have significant problems in the on-page optimization for either the GBP or the money site, even getting significant reviews aren't going, it will still likely show a result, an improved result, but not as much, it won't be as exaggerated or pronounced as it would have been had the GBP been optimized properly and the site is efficient. Then when you start to add reviews to that too, especially with an increased review velocity, then we typically see significant ranking gains from that and that alone. Well, I say that and that alone, combined with those other 2 components, proper GBP optimization and site efficiency. And when I say proper GBP optimization, standard operating, like, guys, it's pretty standard GBPs, like just complete everything thoroughly, make sure everything is correct and accurate. That's it. That's all you have to do with GBPs. But building branded location authority, I already described very thoroughly how to do that. So when I say proper GBP optimization, that includes building proper brand authority. right? Which is all the things that I just described. So if you do those three things, build brand authority, make sure the GBP is optimized properly, site efficiency, then you start to increase review velocity, I guarantee you will see a significant improvement in performance. Okay. All right. So let's see. It says right now, I know GBP reviews have been extremely important, but lately it seems that the star rating of the GBP listing is becoming an important metric as well. And that makes sense. Think about that, guys. Why, if it were just a velocity, a review velocity and a review quantity thing, then companies that have terrible reviews could rank at the top of search. But why would Google want to promote and send human visitors, Google users, to a listing, a company that has terrible reviews? So I totally understand the star rating as being a ranking factor now, right? So if you are getting 4 and 5, so a review velocity is higher than the competitors, meaning you're collecting reviews faster than the competitors are, and you're getting at least 4 and 5 star, like minimum 4 star reviews, you should start to see significant results. Now, if you do a review solicitation campaign and you start getting reviews with 1, 2, and 3 star reviews, first of all, there's a problem with the company. The company has an issue with their products or services. And that should be resolved first before anything else happens, right? But I would immediately stop the review solicitation campaign because you don't want to get a whole bunch of negative reviews, right? And so it does make sense to me that Google would want to promote those companies that have the higher star ratings. So it's a combination of star ratings, quantities, and velocity that really kind of matter. Okay. All right. Second, the other than the reviews and the star rating, what would you say? Would you say that website content and backlinks are still important when it comes to ranking? 100%. Again, site efficiency and how the site is optimized, and the backlink profile to the site. All of that is part of site efficiency, in my opinion, because it's all what the GBP is connected to. Guys, as little as 3 years ago, I used to be able to rank GBPs for tree service contractors that didn't even have websites. Like all day long, we could do it. Now it's a lot more difficult to do. And if a GBP is linked to a website that is done very poorly, over optimized or under optimized or whatever, then that typically hurts the performance of the GBP as well. And so, yes, all of the website stuff is critically important right now for how the GBP will perform. It's important to make sure you guys don't focus on just one or the other. It's all kind of a holistic. We have to be optimizing holistically, meaning across multiple modes, right? Organic, maps, language models, right? We should be optimizing for all of these things now. And so our jobs have become more complex in some cases and easier in others, right? So, if so, backlink wise, would you say the traffic of a backlink itself matters? Yeah, traffic is a validation signal. It makes a link more valid or more valuable if it has traffic. For example, if a backlink with 10 is a backlink with 10,000 traffic better than a backlink with 1,000 traffic? Depends on how relevant it is, right? A link on a relevant page that gets 1,000 monthly average visits to that page is going to be more valuable than a non-relevant link on a page from 10,000 visitors, right? There's a number of things that you need to consider. Relevance matters. So getting a link from a non-relevant source that has high traffic is not as valuable as getting a link from a low traffic source with more relevance. Now, there are always outliers or exceptions to that rule, but for the most part, I would go with a lesser traffic link if it's more relevant. I'm going to look at relevance factors before I look at traffic factors. And I will, if I'm looking at different link opportunities, I'm going to select the link opportunity that is first relevant, but then second has traffic if I can determine it has traffic. Okay. What about Ahrefs-DR? What about it? I don't give it two shits about Ahrefs-DR. Honest to God, I don't. And Roy, that's not picking on you. I'm just saying I couldn't care any less about DR. That's true. I care about relevance. If DR is important to you, then fine, use that as a secondary metric. Look at relevance first, and then you can use any potential link sources that you have already determined are relevant. If you want to use DR as a determining factor, fine, do it. That's entirely up to you. I don't care about DR at all. I don't even look at that metric, nor do I look at DA. I use topical trust flow. It's not the metric that matters, it's the relevance that matters. And then a trust flow value becomes important if you can determine the links are relevant, right? Trust flow in and of itself means nothing because it's just a third-party metric, just like DA, just like DR. But if you can determine that the link equity flowing from a backlink is in a relevant category, then that trust flow value becomes important, because having a high trust flow value from a link that is not relevant to what it is linking to means basically nothing. Google is largely ignoring that link. But if you have a trust flow value that is high, 20 plus, 30 plus, whatever, in a particular topical category that is relevant to what it is linking to, now that's an important number, because that is, trust flow is a measure of link quality and strength. But link quality and strength doesn't matter if it's coming from a non-relevant source, right? Again, there's always exceptions to this rule, guys. But for the vast majority of cases, this is true, which is a trust flow, the link quality and strength is being ignored unless it's coming from a relevant source. The more relevant the source, the more valuable that link equity is. And so that number becomes more important as you determine if the links are relevant. Okay, hopefully that's clear. So what difference does DR make when it comes to the quality of backlink? It makes no difference to me whatsoever. I just don't care about that metric, so I'm not even going to comment on it other than to tell you, stop caring about DR. I mean, if it's something you care about, then I'm not going to tell you to just completely abandon it, because obviously you care about it. What I like to know is, and I've asked this question on sales calls with other SEO professionals, why does DR matter to you? Explain to me why that matters so much to you. And it's funny because a lot of times that's when SEOs will start stuttering and they'll get tongue twisted and all that kind of stuff, because they don't really have a good answer for it. It's just they've been conditioned in this industry that DR is like gospel, it's law. Like you have to have IDR else it's a worthless link. I disagree. So, okay, moving on. What about niche relevant and geo-relevant backlinks? What do you say as far as ranking a website and GBP listing? Well, that's what we focus on at Semantic Links, is niche or topically relevant and geographically relevant links. For local SEO, they work incredibly well. If you get that right, you can rank well with a lot less links, because it's the relevance that really matters. Okay, and again, we have a whole process that we teach in Semantic Mastery. We also have a whole process. By the way, you can learn how to do competitive link analysis reports on your own. Just go to our YouTube channel, search competitive link analysis, and you'll find the video where I go into very great detail. It's an hour and 8-minute long webinar. Well, I cut it out of one of our mastermind webinars where I show how to do competitive link analysis reports, and it will give you all of that data that you're looking for, so that you'll know exactly the number of links that you can build, the anchor text that you should be using when building those links, and the topical relevance requirements of the links in order for them to be effective. All of that is covered in competitive link analysis training, which you can get on our YouTube channel. I also offer that as a done-for-you service. If you're interested, go to Semantic Links. You could order competitive link analysis reports from me. It's $19 for a written report. You can add a $20 add-on for a video review and recommendation, where I will then review the competitive link analysis reports in a screencast video and narrate kind of what we're looking through, what we're looking at, the data, and give you my analysis, my thoughts, and in my recommendations as to which services that I provide that would be relevant to this campaign or that campaign to help it to perform better in search. Okay. So I don't care whether you use my service or not. I'm just telling you, you can learn how to do it yourself by going to our YouTube channel. Okay. Third, if I were to purchase backlinks that actually help me rank GBP and listing a website, or where would you recommend I purchase backlinks from? Go check out Semantic Links. That's my own link building service. It's developed specifically for local SEO campaigns, and it's all based upon data analysis. We do all of our link building based upon very thorough data analysis. Okay. Good questions. Good to see you, Roy. It's been a while. Moving on to the next one, because that was a long question. Uzaifa says, since we are shifting to optimizing for LLMs, and one way to do that is syndicating content, should we also do that for lead gen assets since they don't have real physical locations? Or how can we optimize lead gen assets for LLMs? Same thing. It's no different. Uzaifa, you publish branded content, preferably on external branded blogs, not the same domain. Because if you publish a whole lot of content on the same domain, you're going to run into the same issue that I just described a moment ago, which is competing pages. Okay, don't do that. Build. Now I talk about for lead gen assets, I typically say do not go out and build supporting branded assets for the lead gen asset until you get it monetized. And the reason I say that is because you end up spending money on building all these additional assets and everything in order to, but in some cases, you'll never end up monetizing the site. And so I usually tell people, through experience, I've learned this, guys. I can't tell you how many projects I've dumped money into that I never ended up monetizing. So I tell people, don't do that. Instead, get the look for low competition areas so that the organic asset, the self-hosted site, will typically start to rank for several, not maybe not all the queries and all the locations that are being targeted, but at least partially. If you can get, a fair number of keywords to rank in various for products and services and locations specific to an area, that's all that you need to use that as a sales tool to be able to point to that, to show that you are already getting results in that area for the same products and services that the prospect that you're talking to provides. You see what I'm saying? So the organic only assets are supposed to be used as a sales tool. You can monetize them if you want directly by lead, renting them out, doing pay per lead, whatever. But I use them as an indirect monetization sales tool, right? Because I point to them when I'm pitching my services and say, I've already outranking you for some of your products and services in some of the areas that you're targeting. And it's a brand new site that we've really done very little to. We were able to do this in, 2 months, 3 months, whatever it is. We can do this for you as well. And by the way, if you sign up with us, you decide to use our services, we will assign this site and any leads that come from this site to you and to you only, right? And so then that's when I would take a portion of the client's budget and start to build branded assets for that lead gen site, that I own and control, because now instead of me coming out of pocket to build assets for it, I'm using the client portion of the client's budget to then build those assets. That's why I talk about this, guys, is because, this is how you can remember there's nothing unethical about using some of the client's budget to improve the lead gen asset that you have assigned to them exclusively while they're your client. If it's going to continue to benefit them, there's nothing unethical about that, right? It's like we're actually getting two brands out there for the price of one, because they're piggybacking off of my branded assets to improve the number of leads that they secure on a monthly basis or whatever. Hopefully that's clear. So, but if you are talking about publishing, how can you get your lead gen assets to also possibly your lead gen brand be recommended by LLMs when people are using them for chat or search? Well, it would be the same process. It's not going to be any different. You still need to have branded content that is always, and a lot of it, that's published across multiple platforms in multiple media formats: audio, video, text, infographics, all of that kind of stuff, because we don't know which language models are ingesting content from where. And so it's best to just, like, carpet bomb or spray and pray basically content, but you have to do it in a way that's not going to compete with the main website, which is why I said you don't want to publish that content on the main site. So for lead gen assets, even though, like I said, I typically am not going to start building branded assets until I have it monetized, I would do the same thing. As I wouldn't want to go out and build branded assets for a lead gen site and then start publishing a ton of content and syndicating or republishing and distributing that content out across various other branded blogs, etc. If I don't have it monetized, because that's a ton of work. So stick to the plan, Huzaifa. All of that was to get back to what I was saying, which was stick to the plan. If you're going to build local lead gen assets to use as a sales tool, which is what I recommend, then keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Keep it to just the self-hosted site, those that are going to rank fairly well, or at least some of the queries. Then you can use that to then sell your services to a company in that same area that provides the same products and services. And then once you secure that client, you can start taking a portion of that budget, small percentage of it, to then invest in building branded assets and content and content production and distribution for your LLG brands, because it's going to benefit the client as long as they're on retainer. The moment that they quit, though, then like you get to control, or get control back, I should say, of the LLG asset. You're going to maintain control the whole time, but you take it back, and now that's available to remonetize with one of their other competitors, right? Another company in the same area. And then you start using some of their budget to continue further developing your assets. You see what I'm saying? So, and you maintain the benefit from the previous client's budget even long after they're gone, right? So nothing changes. It's just how and when you do it that changes. Hopefully that's clear. All right, moving on. What's your time gap between emails and instant lead campaign options, advanced options, sending pattern? It's whatever the default settings are. If I don't mess with that, I think it's like random time interval of 7 minutes or 7 to 9 minutes or something, whatever the default settings are. I don't mess with that. Okay. Anthony says, for the DHA, I think you said that when you get a response to the initial cold outreach, the response goes into high level. and then you switch over to communicating, emailing to the @TreeCareHQ email for follow-ups. Well, kind of true. When we get a response, the response is in instantly, right? Because the response instantly is our cold emailing app. The response is in instantly, but there's a webhook there's a webhook from instantly that integrates as the trigger for an automation, a workflow in high level. That webhook, then the first action item from that trigger, which is the inbound webhook from instantly. The first action item is to create the contact. The second action item is to create the opportunity card in the lead replied or contact replied stage of the leads pipeline, the directory leads pipeline. And that's when that opportunity card is created by that automation, then that sends a notification to the VA, my team member, who's responsible for lead processing, which is the process of researching the company and then optimizing their listing, optimizing and publishing the directory listing. Okay, so when that contact is created through the inbound webhook and the opportunity card, now any conversation from that point forward is going to be done through high level, which is going to be through the the workspace account that I have connected via SMTP for that sub account, which is my high level directory CRM sub account, right? So that's going to be tech, TECH at treecarehq.com. That's our workspace email that's integrated as our emailing service for high level. Does that make sense? So in the trade-off, you are making that you rather have everything automated and managed from high level instead of dealing with the headache of having a VA manage the responses from instantly, even if it means losing the ability to respond to the same email thread the tree contractor initially replied to and instantly. Yeah, but that doesn't make any sense. And I'm not picking on you, Anthony. Like what I'm saying is the tree, it doesn't matter. Like a tree, I've never had anybody, not one time, and I've been doing this for over 4 years. Well, I've only been using instantly for about a year and a half now. So before we used to do cold email directly from high level, but that stopped working very well. And so anyways, instantly is way better for cold email. But I've never once in the last year and a half that we've been using instantly have we had a reply come in from a contractor that says, well, I don't know who this is because when you first reached out to me, it was from a different email address. They never pay attention to that shit. Even if they do, it doesn't matter. It's coming from the same brand. It's coming from TreeCare. So initially, if it went out with like treecarehqmail.com, right? Because I've got treecarehqmail.com, mail.org, treecarehqmail.net, etc. I've got a number of sending domains, but all of those sending domains redirect to treecarehq.com. So it doesn't matter if they go check the sending domain, like if they go to visit the domain after the whatever the domain was that I sent it from, any of my cold sending domains are going to redirect to the treecarehq.com directory. So when I take over conversation in high level and the email is coming from tech at treecarehq.com, it might start a new thread, but it doesn't matter because, again, they're already aware of the communication. Now, I've not ever once had that ever brought to my attention by any contact about how they're confused that it went from one email address to another and it wasn't in the same thread. So, guys, and Anthony, I'm not picking on you specifically, but there's always the what if scenarios that I swear in the SEO industry, it's the worst. People are always saying, well, what if this and what if that? Just go out and do it and see what happens, right? And then you figure out a way to fix it. If it is a problem, you figure out how to fix it. I've not seen that, not even one time. And so it's not a problem. And so instead of not taking action because you're afraid of the what if scenarios, my policy, kind of my philosophy is ready, fire, aim, right? Ready, fire, aim. Just get out there and start doing it, taking action, and you'll figure out very quickly when things don't go right. You'll figure out very quickly how to fix it. I actually perform best under that type of pressure, right? And so that's why I'm constantly, it's part of the reason I had to let go of the sales guy that I brought, the person that I brought on as a salesperson for TreeCare HQ, Harry, because after almost 2 years of working with him, every time we would get right to the starting line to start a new campaign that we spent weeks on developing and everything else, he would want to change it up because he would what if himself right out of ever starting the campaign. And after a year and a half and multiple cycles of that, I had to let him go. I said, we can't work together anymore, man, because that is not my philosophy. My philosophy is, look, I've got an idea. I'm going to get it to minimum viable ops, like, minimum viable product. And then I'm just going to start running with it. And typically it's going to be wrong when we start, but when you run into situations where you've screwed up the conversation with the contact because the automations were wrong or whatever, for me, that's the type of pressure I need to jump in and get it fixed quickly. And so I make a lot faster progress by making a mess out of things and figuring out how to fix it than I do by waiting until everything is just right. If we wait till everything's just right, you never get started. So just ready, fire, aim, right? And I'm not, again, Anthony, that wasn't directed at you, but I just feel like in the SEO industry, there's always the what if this and what if that. What if the sky falls in today? Who cares? Like, we don't know. Just go out and try it and see. So to answer your question, the trade-off has not ever caused a problem. Like, it's never even been brought to my attention. So it's not something I even consider. I don't lose any sleep at night over that. I just run with it, and it seems to work just fine. Okay. If you run into that issue, I'm sure it can be resolved some way, somehow. Okay. But until you run into that issue, just start running with your cold email campaigns. Cypher says for content syndication, should we reference the URLs of our branded profile homepage in the same as schema? Or also the URLs of the individual blog posts, videos, infographics on those branded profiles. I don't know what you mean about that. Should we reference the URLs of the branded profile homepages? Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yes, typically just the homepage is what I reference, if that's what you mean. Yeah. Typically just the homepage of the profile. Yeah. If you're saying, like, for example, if you had a Blogger profile, and let's say you had 6 posts published on Blogger, should you take the Blogger homepage profile URL and then the 6 post URLs and put all of those in the same as? No. I mean, you can, but I wouldn't. Just as long as the NAP and NAPW or some combination of those data points are referenced on the homepage of the Blogger profile, then I would only link to that, because you've accomplished what you needed to, which is identifying to Google or into language models, just identifying, period, another platform where the company has a presence. That's it. That's all that matters. So adding additional Blogger post URLs into this example, I don't think it would have any effect. Now, I've not actually tested that, but I don't see how it would or why. It doesn't make any sense. Maybe it does have an effect, maybe it doesn't. I'm not going to bother going through that, because then every time you publish a post, what are you going to do? Go edit the schema too? I mean, you could do that if you want. I'm certainly not going to do that. As long as the NAPW has been established on the profile and the profile was referenced in the schema, that's all that matters. Okay. Google's aware of the presence on that platform at that point. Okay. All right, moving on. Joseph says, can you give me some advice? My directory outreach is not performing so well. 100 contacts reached so far, 47 per open rate. So you've only done 100 outbound cold emails. Okay. That's not a big enough sample set. I'll finish reading your question, but just to be clear, that's not enough. Send out 1,000 contacts, and now you'll have something that's a little bit more significant. Okay. 100 contacts, not enough. 1,000, you're going to have more data. Okay. 47% open rate, not bad. There's probably some issues that could be addressed to improve open rate. 2 hostile replies, that's normal. You can't please everybody all the time, so just get over it, right? You don't know these people, so I don't care if they hostile reply or not. Just ignore them. Accounts were warm for over a month. Health scores are good. Sending volume per account is below 50. I even used the exact same email sequences you shared here on Hump Day Hangout for the first 3 emails. Okay. Just 10 times your sample set, and then come back to me and we'll talk. Okay. That's not enough, man. 47% open rate is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a damn good open rate on cold email, right? I was just in instantly earlier. I thought I had that open still, but let me just check it out real quick. The newest campaign that I have is only running at 56% open rate. This one just started July 12th. Is 12th or 13th is when this one, or excuse me, June 12th or 13th. I'm sorry, I said July. So this has only been running for like, less than 3 weeks. And this one only has a 56% open rate. But if we take a look at this campaign, the one that just completed recently, this had an 83% open rate. It's the same sequence, right? So why is it that the Iowa and Tennessee contacts had a higher open rate than the Florida contacts, Florida and Missouri, kind of an odd combination, right? Anyways, I don't know why. It's the same sequence. It's the same email accounts. If we look at the email accounts, my health score is high. Not a single one is below 99%. So why is that? I don't know. It's just randomness, right? So I'm okay with the 56% open rate. 47% open rate's okay. Um, go to 1,000 and come back and tell me the stats, and then we can have a chat about that. Okay, 100 contacts not enough, guys. Be a little bit more aggressive. Okay. What is a footprint in SEO, especially when talked about in negative terms like link building? That's where it's easily detectable or identifiable that you are doing things intentionally to manipulate search performance. And with backlinks, that's like, if you have a whole bunch of, domains that you're using for link building all hosted on the same hosting account, the same IP, then backlinks coming, then you're going to have multiple referring domains that have the same IP, right? That's an issue. Interlinking between link building sites. So that creates a footprint. So that's why we're very, very careful with semantic links that when we use a link source, so a referring domain to link to any part of a local business or SEO campaign, whether that's a direct link to the money site, a link to the GBP, a link to the ID page, or any branded asset, or a link to a tier 1 link. So if we're building a tier 2 link to a tier 1 link, we make sure that we don't use the same referring domain that if it's already been linked to some other asset that is involved with that company. So in other words, if we're using a link source to link to anything that is related to a company, an SEO campaign for a company, then that referring domain is now off limits to be used again. What I see a lot of, improper link building still being done is when you are interlinking between that. So if you take the same referring domain source and you link to the money site, but then you also link to like a blogger blog, a branded blogger blog, or a G site or something like that, because now you've got the same source domain linking to two different assets that are part of the same company. That is a footprint. Okay. So we try to limit it to only one link per referring domain to any campaign. Okay. And in some cases, there are some cases where we've run out of inventory for a particular, and I've contacted the client and said, listen, we don't typically do this, but if you do it very sparingly, shouldn't be an issue. So here's the option. We can use the same source domain for this asset as well. But that's very rare that I will ever even offer that as an alternative, because again, that can create a footprint. If you do it, one or two here and there is okay, but if you do that consistently, it creates a footprint. Expanding your entity footprint or your brand footprint is a benefit if done correctly. That's what we were talking about earlier, so I'm not going to rehash that. I'm going to skip over that one. That's a YouTube comment question. Jay Turner says, have you tested or seen recently on your end any evidence of GBP maps ranking improvement with the old upload GPS data inserted before or after mobile pics consistently to business profiles? I don't know about if you're talking about just modifying the EXIF data and the metadata of the files. No, I haven't seen any kind of benefit from that in quite some time. Where I see that being effective, if that is the correct interpretation of the question, excuse me, and I talk about this all the time, is for like service area businesses, especially, is if the field technicians or the salespeople or whatever, the people that go out into the field, if they take photos, excuse me, from their mobile device, excuse me, guys, I got a tickle. If they take photos from their mobile devices and then upload the photos directly to the Google profile through Google Maps, you don't have to be a manager. Just go search for the company name in Google Maps. When it pulls up the listing or the profile, you click add photos. That's it. You don't have to be a manager. You don't have to be signed in. Well, you have to be signed in, but you don't have to be a manager. You don't have to be connected to that company in any way, shape, or form. Anybody can do this, right? So you just go click on add photos and you upload those photos. Those photos have very detailed metadata about where that photo was taken, the altitude, the time. There's so much data. It's insane. Like, it's incredible. If you take a video in a moving vehicle or while you're moving, it'll even tell you the metadata of that file. It'll tell you this velocity with which you were moving at the time that video was recorded. Like, it's incredible how much data is in there. And so that's why I've been talking about this for years, guys. They should be training all of your local business clients, especially those that are in service area businesses, to take photos consistently on every time they go out to service their client or customer in the field. Take 3 to 5 photos on a mobile device and upload it. Just get in the habit of doing that. That has a significant effect on GBP performance over time, especially for service area businesses. Okay. I helped implemented your changes to his site, and 20 days after the final title edit, impressions doubled and still on the upward trend. Folks, you can get Bradley's SEO audits at Semantic Mastery, or excuse me, semanticlinks.io. And yes, they are great. Well, thank you, Jay. I appreciate that very much. But yeah, to answer your question, as far as do we modify the EXIF data with like MP3 tag or XFR, the XFR, or GeoSetter, I think is another one. Excuse me, guys. No, not anymore. We just do QR codes and logo overlays on the images. We don't mess with the metadata anymore because, again, I always tell my clients it's your responsibility to take photos on job sites and then upload them to the GBP through the maps listing. I mean, because that's going to have a much better effect than modifying the metadata yourself. Okay, but still, you do want to optimize like alt text and stuff like that, and use entity terms, not keywords. Okay. And oh, by the way, with alt text, guys, you always include the brand name in the alt text, always. So that when somebody does, that's associating that image and the service, the entities within the image to the brand. And when somebody does a brand search, those images will start to pop, right? You're creating associations. So whatever the images, the picture is, the images, whatever the image is of, right? Then you add a descriptor, preferably using entities as in the alt text as to what that image is representing. And then you append or prepend either way. So it's either lead with the brand or end with the brand, but always put hyphen or separate or whatever brand, because that creates an association between that specific product or service, the entity, and the brand, right? It's critically important, guys. And that's why we put QR codes and logos and all of that on the images. It's all about creating associations. Okay. Casey says, do you have a suggested tool, plugin, or process you recommend to add schema to sites, particularly WordPress? Well, I use AI or Schema Writer AI, which is Jesper Nissen's tool, and then also InLinks. So these are the two tools that I use. InLinks, that's this one here. I do schema, like organization and local business schema, I do manually, well, semi-manually with Schema Writer. But then for all other pages on local projects, I use InLinks, which does, you add a short, like a JavaScript code, and then you do all of your schema inside of InLinks. And it will automatically insert the schema through that JavaScript code in the various pages. And so that's how I do it. That's how I'm able to manage so many sites that way. So we do schemawriter.ai. This is the tool that we use for generating the schema for the way that I do it is for organization schema on the home page, local business schema on the location landing page. All other pages, I use web page schema that is produced through InLinks. So these are the two services I use. And that's all I have recommendations for. Okay, because I don't use any others myself. Let's see. Are you using VO Google DeepMind for your SEO? Do you plan to, and what for? No, I've not. I've not done a whole lot of anything with Google. Most of the SEO, or excuse me, the language model stuff that I've been doing is in Grok, and I've not messed with that. I've not done a whole lot of AI stuff recently myself, guys. I haven't had the bandwidth, and I hired recently some AI developers to develop some of the apps that I want to develop that I just don't have the bandwidth to do on my own to learn how to do all that. So I've been beating myself up over not being able to find the time to work on developing some of these AI apps that I want to learn how to do. And finally, I realized, why am I walking around with like this? It's almost like, this cloud, right? Or this weight on my shoulders because I've been wanting to do more with AI, but I haven't had the bandwidth because I'm running my businesses. So I said, why am I, beating myself up over this? I'll just hire somebody to do it, right? I don't have the time, but I do have enough money to be able to purchase, like have somebody else do it. And I can just direct what I want. And that's what I'm doing. I realize now I don't have to learn how to do all the AI setup. I just need to know how to get it done. That's what matters. And that's what I'll be teaching, is how to get it done. Okay. Okay, guys, thanks for attending. I think we're done. I'm just going to check on comments. I don't really see much. What's up, Craig? So I'm going to wrap it up for the day, guys. Appreciate everybody being here. We've got a mastermind webinar tomorrow. Again, guys, we do have a couple of slots open for DHA program. If anybody's interested, go to the link that's in chat. I'll pull that up right now. That's going to be this link here. Sorry, I've got this on Slack instead of the YouTube chat. But go to semanticmastery.com/samcart.com. Whatever, you'll see it in chat. It will be in the replay as well. But I'd check it out if you'd like. It's only $100 to get a interview with me. We'll determine if it's a good fit. I'll answer any questions you have. And then if you're accepted in the program, I'll send you the invitation. We officially start on Monday, July 7th. So that's next Monday. So you still have a few days to get in and get your call scheduled with me. I would encourage you to check it out if you're interested. Otherwise, come join the mastermind. Thanks everybody for being here.